Well, hey everybody, Steve Huber here with Billion Dollar Contractor. Hope you're all doing fabulous. Hey, I had a secret shopper event with one of my clients where they asked me to go through and do a secret shopper call with their sales team, and it was a lot of fun. I had a great time, and there were some really great lessons that I want to pass on and help you all today so that you can avoid some of the problems that my client was running into. And we were looking at all the different lead sources and trying to break down close rate and all that good stuff. And we found that most of the leads we had a great close rate. We had a great close rate everywhere, but one of our reps didn't have a great close rate. And we were like, hey, let's just do a secret shopper and see if we can figure out what's going on. Which, by the way, side note, if you have not done that in a long time or you haven't gone through your sales process in a long time, get somebody else to go through it for you that's not attached. Like, I don't know how many times the phone's supposed to ring or what the script is supposed to be like. I don't know all the nuances of a lot of things in your business. And sometimes it's nice to have somebody walk in with a fresh set of eyes that can just look at it and deal with it and feel it from a customer's perspective. Okay, so try that out. Try having somebody that's unattached go through your sales process to see how it's going. So we knew that we had one sales rep that was really, really struggling, and so we did a secret shopper call with that rep. Here's what I learned. So number one, we started off with a discovery call. Like, an appointment was booked with the sales rep and me, and he was going to ask me about what I was looking for, like a discovery call. And in a discovery call, the whole point of it is to discover what problems your customer is having so that you can then offer a solution to those problems, which hopefully is your product. And it is not a place for you to sell at all. It is solely to talk about your customer. Another way to think about it is like when you go to the doctor and the doctor says, so what brings you in today? And then you start telling them all of your problems, and then they know what to prescribe to you. The same thing happens in sales. Imagine if you walked into your doctor's office and they're like, oh, hi, Steve. I bet you're here for a knee surgery. Let me tell you all about why you need a knee surgery and why a knee surgery is a great option for you. I'm like, my knee doesn't even hurt. I've got an ear infection. Why are we talking about knee surgeries? Discovery call is the same way. It's just literally to discover your client's problems. Okay. So in a discovery call, what you want to do is ask questions as a salesperson and then stop talking. Let your customer tell you what their problems are. This sales rep, unfortunately, I think he asked me like 2 or 3 questions and then talked 95% of the time. So I think he asked for my name, my address, and what my utility bill was. This is a solar company. And then he literally started talking until we got off the phone. Okay. Not how you want a discovery call to go. All right. So that was problem number 1. Problem number 2 is that he was basically quoting pricing to me without knowing at all what I need. In that discovery call, I asked a question, which was, how much does this normally run? It seems complex. I'll get to that in a minute. And he said, well, it's $40,000 on average. Not at all what you want to do. I have no context about price at that point. You don't want to tell me price because, again, I have no concept of it. Think about it like if you said, if I said, hey, I have a house for you and it's $800,000. Do you want it? You don't know if that's a good deal or a bad deal. It could be a mansion on the shores of Palm Beach. It could be a dilapidated shack, in some rural town. You don't know. So price is irrelevant because price is directly correlated to value and the value that somebody's getting. And it has to be, right? So at that point was not the time to quote price. So don't quote price in your discovery call if a customer asks. A good way to deal with that is, hey, Steve, that's a really great question. It's all going to depend on what you need. And so the whole point of this call today is just to find out what really is the right, like, what are you looking for and what are your goals so that we can come back to you and talk about what is the right solution for you. Does that sound good? Okay. So don't talk about price in the discovery call. Because he had basically talked so much, about things that he didn't know that I needed or was interested in, he made the entire process sound super complex. Like there were so many components now, there were different options, different ways I could pay for it. It was all over the place. And that's what happens when we don't understand the customer's problem, was we start throwing out every available option there. And when that happens, guess what? Your customer gets confused. And when people get confused, you know what they say? I need to think about it because I don't know what I'm talking about. This sounds like a way bigger deal than I thought it was. I don't know what's going on. I just need to think about this for a minute because this sounds complex and I wasn't ready for something complex. That's what happens. So don't just start talking. Make sure, again, you're asking good questions in your discovery call. So anyways, discovery call, not off to a great start. All right. Then we said, hey, he said, why don't I work some numbers up and get back to you? Are you free if I call you in an hour? Kudos to him. He didn't leave the appointment hanging. A lot of times what will happen is reps will say, let me work this up and get back to you at some other arbitrary time in the future. I give him a kudos to him for saying, I'll get back to you. Are you free an hour from now? I was. Great. We booked some time on the calendar. He was going to call me in an hour. Guess what? Hour came, no phone call. Hardcore strike on his part. 2 hours, no phone call. 7 hours later, I got an email. All it said is, here's your proposal, and it was a link to a proposal. No context, no recommendation, literally no real effort in place here. Just an email with a link. So again, as a customer, you have no idea what I'm looking for. You've talked at me nonstop. You just sent me a link with no I don't even know what this is. Luckily I work in solar, but he just sent me this link. So I open up the link and it said, it was all this stuff that I had no interest in. He had like a battery in there. It was over 100% offset. It was negative $40,000 in savings, which, by the way, if you're watching this and you're not in solar, that's not common. Again, this is a bad sales rep. We didn't do it right. Just nothing. 5 days later, I got a phone call. Hey, Steve, I wanted to see what you thought of the proposal. I said, well, it didn't seem like there was really any value in me doing this. There was no reason I should do this. Can you help walk me through this? And he said, hang tight. And he puts me on hold. And he's fumbling around. He finally gets a copy of the proposal. He called me unprepared. Folks, look, if you're going to follow up on something you sent somebody, have it pulled up ready to go so that you can reference it. You're expecting them to maybe have a question or maybe want to bounce something off of you. That's why you called, right? And so anyways, have it pulled up and ready to go so that you can reference back to the questions that are there. And I kid you not. Again, he had no idea what my goals were even to begin with. But he said, you know what, looking at this, I don't think it makes much sense to you. Which is incredible. Okay. So there's, again, a couple things we can learn out of here. Number one is, it doesn't make sense to me, assuming you understand what my goals are. Okay. You never asked what my goals are. Start there. My goal could have been just to put solar panels on my roof and to go green, in which case then it makes lots of sense. Okay. Don't assume you understand why the customer is calling. And this is something I see all the time. Make the customer tell you. Number two, sales processes are not designed for the benefit of the salesperson. In other words, they're not there so that the salesperson remembers what to do. They're there so that our customer can understand the process and basically sell themselves by understanding what it is that we do and realizing in themselves that they need that. The sales process is for the customer to go through, and they need to go through that journey. So even though you may be bored, even though you may think, I know why this guy's calling, I see it all the time, you can't skip it because the customer doesn't know what they're calling about. The customer doesn't deal with it every day. You do. You know exactly why they called, but you have to ask questions so that they understand why they called. Hopefully that makes sense. Number 3, if you want to be a great sales rep, just do what you say you're going to do. If you say you're going to call in an hour, call in an hour. If you say you're going to send an email, send an email. If you say I'll call you tomorrow morning, call them tomorrow morning. The best thing you can do in your career as a salesperson is just to do the things you honestly promise to do. You'll get more referrals, you'll have more business and more happy customers than you know what to do with. If you don't do that, you're going to be out of work, all right? Do the things that you say you're going to do, all right? Number 4, like I said, price is irrelevant. Price doesn't matter unless there's value that's stacked with it. Think back to that house analogy. Would you pay $800,000 for a shack in the middle of nowhere? Probably not. Hopefully not. Would you pay $800,000 for a $20 million mansion? Yeah. Heck yeah. You'd find a way to make that happen all day long. But you have to have context. You have to understand what it is that I'm paying for so that I understand if it's worth it to me or not. All right. So don't ever just throw out price. Don't ever just send a proposal. Don't ever just assume that it's obvious to your customer, because again, it may not be. That's why we have salespeople, is to help make it easy for customers to buy. All right. Last thing I'll leave you with, if you manage sales teams and you have not gone through, I should say, if you have a sales team, if you own a business or you're a sales manager and you've not gone through your sales process in a long time, if you've not put in a John Doe lead and sat on the phone or had somebody out to your house, do it. Back when I had an outside sales team, we would book like fake appointments with the manager to see if they showed up on time. Were they showered? Did they smell good? Like there was all these things that matter that you just don't get feedback on. Make sure that you do that, right? Test your sales process out a little bit from time to time. And if you don't want to go through it, if you're a big shot, you don't want anyone to know that you're doing that. You don't want to tip off that you are doing secret shopper calls. Get somebody else to do it. Get your neighbor. Get a relative, get your girlfriend, get your wife, whoever, right? Get somebody to go through that process and break down what is happening from their eyes in your business. Sometimes it's really hard for us to identify the problems that exist because we're part of the problem. They may be doing everything perfect according to the system that you set up, but you set up a crappy system and it needs to be fixed. In the eye of the customer, it's not a great system. And it's hard to see that if it's your system that you set up. So have somebody else go through it. Last thing I would say is, in every company we work with, we set up checks and balances so that there are things like this that get caught. And in this particular one, I said, we call it a follow-up call, basically. I said, what happened in our follow-up call? Because I never got one. And the person that runs the team that was supposed to do the follow-up call said, well, we let this particular sales rep do all their own follow-up calls. It's like, no, that's why that call happens. You want to make sure that your sales processes have checks and balances in place so that things like this can't happen. Imagine if that happened for 2 months, 3 months, 2 years, 5 years. Like, I've seen it all. And it's a great way to die a slow death if you're a business owner, is to not have checks and balances in your sales team so that these things can't happen to begin with. Or if they do happen, they're caught really quick and they don't get away with it for months and weeks on end. It will torture reputation and you'll burn cash. So anyways, great lesson learned. I'm super happy I went through it. We came up with a bunch of action items and things that we needed help with. There were emails that had the weird titles. There were things like we were sending quotes from software and the software's name was showing up in the subject line. Things you just don't know unless you go through and battle test the system a little bit. Of course, if you need help, we're here for you. $billiondollarcontractor.com is where to go find us and work with us. We don't have a sales pitch, by the way. We have a whole offer doc there for you. One of the things we heard from our clients is, hey, it's a great program, but I just want to figure out how it works, what it costs, like what does it look like to work with you guys? And so we have our own offer doc there for you. You don't even need to talk to somebody to see what our program looks like and what it costs to work with us. We want to be super simple for you. And we know, like a lot of times for contractors, they're out in the field all day. At night, they get time to check up on stuff and work on their business. Maybe 1 a.m, and you're lying in bed and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to hop on a sales call with this guy. That's why we don't have one. We have an offer doc for you. So check out billiondollarcontractor.com. You can access our doc right there. And again, we just want to see you win. So anyways, hope that helped. Until next time, happy selling. Go crush it. We are here to see you win.